doors, perhaps belonging to the Bastion's commander.
A letter to the commander from Khan Stanield. He signed his title beneath. The I. Times have necessitated an information blackout. The cause of the casualties must be purged from even the Bastion's most secure records. Furthermore, military personnel are to be separated from civilians, unless facilitating the evacuation from Denevron. If word of the problem's true severity spreads across the populace, panic will be uncontrollable. It is imperative that Asylum succeeds.
Paints a stark picture.
Asylum? What could that be?
Scour the rest of the keep and find out.
Found a key swatch. There's a note with it. It says, Commander, it's ready. Use the harness to execute Asylum.
Another key swatch. Wonder if it will lead us to whatever the harness is.
Only one way to find out.
The key swatch is exciting, but it feels like there is more to discover about Asylum here in the Bastion.
Agreed. I'll keep looking. of access beneath the keep.
Looks like a war room.
It looks like the recorded minutes of the meetings that took place here. The last one is dated roughly 26 years ago.
What was it about?
A lot of information was torn off. Casualties got too high due to something they blotted over with ink. And the military commander should execute a defensive measure called Asylum.
Military workshop for enchanters.
The Enclave never used magic to expand its borders, but had to defend itself.
Against nations that thought otherwise.
Exactly.
Research notes from about 40 years ago, probably from an enchanter that worked here, observing Ark degradation. Looks like there was an expected and normal amount of degradation observed in the Arks following the surge. But once the Arks start killing civilians, it says this is a systemic failure. What could that mean?
It means the Arks weren't sent to attack us as a means of defense.
They've lost control over them.
A final note scrawled on the cover page. The Archons will be no use in Asylum's execution.
Bryn, all these documents you've collected, I might be able to piece together what Asylum is if you find out where that key swatch leads.
That's my next move, then. Where am I? Underground.
That barrier almost looks like the veil.
And the panel looks like our scry. Anyone know what it is?
No idea.
Similar design to a scry, but it looks like it's a permanent installation. Like it interfaces with the room. Could this be the harness?
Must be. It seems like Asylum involves sealing away whatever's beyond this barrier.
With this discovery and everything else you found, I should be able to piece together what Asylum actually was. Years after the surge, there was an inexplicable spike in casualties.
You don't think it's due to the arcs going hostile?
Well, that may be part of it, but we can't be certain due to the information blackout. All we know is that it nearly wiped the Hearthsiders out. What seems to have saved them was Asylum's execution, a defensive measure that involved sealing the underground behind a magical barrier.
Almost like the Veil.
Exactly like the Veil.
So the Enclave didn't just hide information from the rest of the Mater, but their own people as well.
Judging from the secrecy and a few of the letters you found, I would guess that high-level officials were paranoid. Clearly, not everyone was in favor of this measure, and some might have wished to thwart it.
I wonder who they were afraid of.
There was enough civilian unrest long after the surge that the Eye was concerned about an uprising. His response? Locked down the channels of information. Still, my guess is the uprising didn't happen, or at least lack success on a large scale. Otherwise, we would find more evidence of it.
You said the casualties spiked long after the surge. Can you elaborate on what might have caused this?
This is truly the thousand-fairer question. With the information blackout, I can't find a concrete link to the cause across hundreds of pages. Ark hostility could certainly be a factor. Clearly, numerous Weavers were killed by their own defenses. The recorded minutes from other meetings in the war room illustrate a long period of geological instability following the surge as well. Aftershocks and earthquakes, and, well, not to mention the outskirts grew more dangerous each year as the creatures were allowed to breed unculled. But these threats seemed to plateau in the early years after the surge. There is no mention of the spike that resurfaced and prompted asylum.
That's so strange.
It is.
Khan Stanild gave the orders to execute Asylum. Do we know anything else about him?
Judging from the series of letters between him and the commander, it would seem that, at the time, he was recently elected. And judging from the frequency with which he followed up on the commander's progress with Asylum, this defensive measure was a key pillar in his political platform. He seemed to grow increasingly concerned with his popularity among civilians in the most recent letters.
Ugh, isn't that kind of slimy?
Leveraging a security crisis to consolidate political influence? Yes, it's incredibly slimy and effective.
And the commander? Do we know what happened to him?
It would appear that Asylum was executed successfully, so perhaps he is still alive. But until we find the Hearthsiders, we can't know for sure.
It's got to be where the Hearthsiders went, right? Remember, the letter mentioned they were evacuated from the city.
To an undisclosed location. We have no real confirmation that they are down there.
But it would make sense, wouldn't it? After all, asylum can mean shelter or safekeeping.
It can also mean prison. I know everyone wants an easy answer to where they went, but something just doesn't add up. You would think there would be at least one document linking Asylum to the evacuation of the city, and there simply isn't.
This is all interesting, but I'm not sure where it'll lead us.
Further exploration of Denevran is required. It might be an abandoned city, but it's still a city. But Bryn, there's one more thing.
What is it?
The barrier. It's exactly like the Veil.
Yes, you said that already.
No, what I mean is, the raw magic that off-gasses from the Veil is what causes the tangles to cluster at its base. In speaking with Dharm, we theorized that this second barrier could potentially be doing the same thing. Except in a more pressurized environment, like, say, within a barrier of kinetic magic.
It's causing the floods of miasma.
We believe so, yes.
So if we removed Asylum's barrier, we could stop the flood.
Possibly.
I guess I need to find a way to break through Asylum.
Agreed.
Lane, could I have my ink pot back? You borrowed it quite a while ago.
Yes, of course. Just let me find it.
I have asked our third friend to join us since he demonstrated such insight with the loom gates.
It was just a lucky guess.
Nonsense. The loom gate works. Enough said.
Gents, the, thingy?
Dom said you found it attached to an ark. One that was shut down.
No sign of damage, but this part came off easily.
It's safe to assume it wasn't part of the original construction, then. The arcs are famously durable.
Bryn, think back. How does it compare to the ark we found outside the Veil?
Exactly the same. Completely motionless. At least, at first.
We should take another look at our newest friend, then. Care to do the honors?
Same place? Same place. Well observed, Sev. You were correct.
Just a lucky guess.
Up. No more of that. Lady, gentlemen, I think we can confidently assert conspiracy.
2 devices does start a pattern.
And a pattern that must predate the Surge, since we found a device that was outside the Veil.
True. That gives us a what and a when, but leaves a whom, a how, and a why.
And how many arcs have been affected?
It does follow that if we found 2, there could be more.
I'll keep an eye out for tampered arcs.
Some may have restarted on their own. Like the one we followed through the Veil.
They're going to fight back, aren't they?
It does seem to be, our luck, yes.
I'll have to keep exploring. Maybe there's a way to remove the barrier. Another thingy. Another tampered arc.
Bryn, Sev and I have been digging into the devices you recovered, and we've developed a working theory.
We'll test it against the ones you found in the field.
What have we found?
That I am a very great fool.
He is not a fool.
I am. Hours trying to unravel the complex enchantments in each of these devices, and Sev here, paragon of clarity, points out a single point of commonality so mundane I had ignored it.
I'm sorry to have to let you in on the secret, Dom, but it's time you learned the truth about the Cabal.
The what?
It's true. People like Sev and I are here on a secret mission to keep you, and specifically you, humble.
It won't work. Many have tried, but enchanting requires the ego to insist the universe bend to our will. What our keen-eyed friend spotted was a singular mark etched into each device.
A maker's sigil. We used them in Tarza to lay claim to a craft work. They're certified to each maker. And I've always heard we borrowed that practice from the Enclave.
Meaning this mark could be registered in public records.
The Spire is a logical next stop. Nothing comforts the rich and powerful like bureaucracy.
That's where I'll start looking then.
Doing all right, Sev?
Apart from impending death, I'm peachy.
I know the news about the flood is nerve-wracking.
I'd always heard the Enclave liked to keep extensive records. It's a lawkeeper's dream. Let's see if we can find a registry of Maker's sigils. This looks like some kind of evacuation plan. Doing their research before enacting asylum, I'd wager. Tables with assets listed. Looks like a tabulation of supply levels. Coordination for the runners and haulers. They remained in the city for years after the surge, according to these dates. Until they went to asylum, at any rate. Just some birth records. Surprisingly detailed.
Invaluable. We'll have to make sure Lane adds them to our archive later.
Here we go. Sigils. Ah, found it. Our creator is listed here as Lucia de Crassus. 2 registered workshops, both council approved for dangerous materials. She must have had some pull before the surge. One is here in the city, and the other, let's see. I've been there. That frozen town out in Dredger's Mire. Better wear something warm.
I think it's important we run this one down, Bryn. The water clock is dripping.
A lot of damage this high up. Back in the spire. Let's see if we can find a registry of Maker's sigils.